Okay, cool. So I'm on here.
Yes. So, Stuart, to you. It is here.
Bright lights.
Sit in such a way that you can see us. Doesn't you, but we're guessing that you have. Do you have the seats in front? Here, in front, please. I'm not sure if you feel it. And give me just a second to stop here. Start, ready?
Diego, you want me to start? Okay. All right, everybody. How do you know how to clap? Do you remember this from earlier in your lives? Can you clap? Well, the loudest clap is up, okay? How loud can you go? Go. Loud. More. Okay, higher. Okay, today is the panel discussion. It's pretty common. It's going to be about how do you use AI. These guys are the experts, and they primed to come and tell you something they know that's special. But the way this works is, as you can see, there's a spare chair. After they've done the initial piece of a few minutes each, you have the opportunity to come and talk as well. And when you sit in that spare seat, one of them will get up and come in the audience. So there will be a spare seat again. And then you can come and sit in that spare seat, and somebody else gets up and it keeps rotating. You don't have to sit in the seat, but if you want to sit in the seat, the seat is there. And we'll keep rotating until everybody's happy.
Can you give me just like a second, please? Can you give my glass of water? Sorry, give me the microphone. Can you give me my glass of water, please? Water? Yes. Thank you a lot.
Doris, so
Too concentrated in it.
Sure, I'm sorry. I can't touch it. Yes.
Very much. Why don't you give the panel a nice
Can I use this
Let's
floor?
get started. Your host tonight will be Senior Guimaraes, who's in charge. So please, let's go for it.
So first of all, welcome and welcome everyone, and allow me please a special, very warm welcome to some students from the Dubai Institute that are visiting us this week, and were kind enough to be here present. Hopefully, you're going to enjoy this event that was meant to help everyone, including you. So let's clap for the Dubai Institute students, please. And we are here to talk about AI, and everyone talks a lot about AI. The problem is, probably we talk more than we use it, and to help solve that, we decided to create this event with this theme. Canopy is about support, and we provide support through a lot of different ways. It's including sharing. We say sharing is caring. And we truly believe that in order to follow our dreams, you must never stop learning. And to help us with that, we decided to start with these experts on the field. And without further ado, I'm going to pass to Alok. Please, Alok, introduce yourself and tell us briefly, how do you use AI?
Sure. So my name's Alok. I'm co-founder of Implement AI. We're based in the UK and we help mid-sized businesses implement digital workers in their business. I personally use AI, so I'll talk about personally and professionally. Personally, I use AI for pretty much everything, ranging from reviewing meetings and notes. We have obviously meeting note takers, and then we have system setup. So after meetings, specific action points or specific lenses that we're looking through get extracted, including particular names, companies, and different details and stuff like that within there. Then obviously in terms of when we're writing content, we write quite a bit of content or produce different stuff. We use different presentations we've done or different lectures as a basis, as a knowledge base, and then we can then use that so our own writing style can be replicated in different areas within there. professionally, we literally work with like many different businesses across different sectors, from healthcare, recruitment, e-commerce, retail, and just give a few examples. So some people, if they want to scale up their sales team, they'll use voice agents. So we'll use that both in like training companies or recruitment companies or even health companies, which will like speak to patients, speak to customers, find out if they're interested, and it can have like 3-4 minute conversations with people and get lots of insights into it. We also have like analyst agents, which might be listening to conversations with different team members from different businesses, spotting missed opportunities and highlighting those. And then in other ways, we might also have like very specialized ones. So we work with like a large energy company where it takes 40 minutes to fill out a grant application form, but we've made it so it's an 8-minute conversation, and then it creates it and it can score it automatically. So just a few ways.
Okay, awesome. We will go deeper on some of those examples that sound to me very exciting. But let's keep the ball rolling. And so, Doris, who is Doris, and how do you use AI?
Yeah, my name is Doris. I'm co-founder and CEO of Functor Network, and we automate on-chain transactions. So we enable AI to use blockchain. So it's just very important for blockchain. It's a completely different infrastructure that we're used to, different to Web 2 as we call it. And we enable that bridge between AI and blockchain to automate transactions. If anyone has used blockchain, anything that ranges from, I want to do this trade at this moment, at this time, you can automate it with the protocol that we've developed. And how I personally use AI on my daily life, I see a post in pre-life of AI, which I am very bullish on the agentic development that we have now, and I see it from ranging from like optimizing writing notes, from like optimizing code. So I can see how you can connect and have like a junior developer using AI, and even for signing up for events. My job takes me to a lot of conferences, and I have to attend to many events, so I can have like an AI agent signing up based on the needs that I want for events. So it depends and ranges what I use AI for, but mostly it's to automate transactions or daily tasks that I don't want to be doing on a daily basis. Yeah.
Awesome, Doris. Thank you. John, who is John, and how does John use AI?
It's a good question. I'm starting to ask myself that a lot at the moment. My name's John. I'm founder and CEO of Proper Home. Proper Home is like a Rightmove or Zillow, so a marketplace for real estate transactions that uses blockchain and AI to incentivize good data extraction. So we're able to provide verified data, referrals on professional behavior, etc., within the marketplace. Again, following on from the theme with the others, personal and professional use case. I'm using it daily as a CEO to fundraise, to hire, to manage my emails, to manage my schedule. I have a Telegram bot that I've produced internally that allows me to communicate and get certain jobs done. From a professional perspective, we've gone deep on agentic search. So the idea of a pocket assistance when you're looking for a home. What can I afford? How can I afford it? How can I engage and get a deal done? How can I negotiate to make sure the price is right? All of those elements we're looking at with the support of AI agents. So yeah, exciting. And thanks for having me.
Great. So Alok, you are in the area of implementing AI for companies. I have two questions that are a bit longer than the time we have, but try to in some way give us some useful tips. What are the biggest challenges your customers used to face when deciding to address AI, even consider using AI at the early days? And the second one would be, is there like kind of a roadmap, or it's very case by case that the things evolve?
It's great questions, because the thing is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, right? There's 1,000,000,001 uses for it. Where we focus on very kind of concretely is business cases and use cases for AI which can do one of three things. One, it can drive revenue growth. Two, it can actually increase capacity or reduce service cost. Or three, you can unlock a new possibility of customer experience or proposition. So I can briefly touch on those three, like essentially. And then the second question was the roadmap. I'll come to that afterwards. So the first thing would be like, drive revenue growth. So the question is, like, from within your existing database, existing interactions, can you apply AI to extract insights where you could then target someone better? For example, we work with the National Pharmacy Group where they process, 2.5 million prescriptions a year, but within there's some patients with specific medicines that are eligible for a funded service by the government. So we have an agent which then detects those particular people, calculates when they'll run out, and then contacts them to renew with the pharmacy. So that unlocks like a 4 million revenue opportunity. So that's like a specific example for revenue growth. For support or capacity expansion, there are some businesses where they can't really scale because the amount of compliance required to support new customers and things like this can take on more time. So in those situations, for example, rather than having people listening to phone calls and seeing, for example, a finance company, they sell loans for cars and stuff like that, but the agents can't actually give recommendations or say certain things in certain ways. So we have an analyst agent which is then listening to all those calls and spotting if something was said inappropriately or not, which replaces like 3 to 4 people in that area. Other areas for support could be, for example, like healthcare clinics or a weight loss clinic where they want to offer guidance on a weekend or an evening when patients are particularly interested in services, but the place is closed generally. So that's where then the agent can speak to people, find out their needs, send them a personalized report, and kind of go from there. And then the third one of new possibilities, that's quite interesting. So for example, there's some consulting companies where they've got very expertise information on, let's just say, utility management, like how to move energy lines during big construction projects. They are kind of booked out, so they can't actually sell more consulting hours. But what we're looking at with them is actually digitizing their knowledge and then allowing other companies to buy access to it by having an agent on top of it which can answer questions and that kind of stuff. And then to answer your final question about how do you have a roadmap, there's kind of 3 phases. One we say is like a sandbox. You want to prove the value of the business case without complex integrations, without anything. So basically get some sample data, prove the use case, does it work, like that. Second thing is then you'd have like kind of like a medium pilot where you would then have maybe some connection in, maybe to some CRM, maybe to some other system, prove it works at more scale. Then the third is just scale it up, basically. So
Awesome. Well, I just have another like 30 questions for you, but let's rotate this on a different way. John, and now how about you? Why did you decide to use AI, and what was the first thing you did when you decided to use AI?
Yeah, really, really interesting question. So I tend to try and educate myself in a lot of subjects that I'm not familiar with very early on. And if I have any advice to anybody out there, there's a YouTube channel that I'm not familiar with or not affiliated with. It's AI Foundation. It's a young guy from the US. He gives tutorials on how to build simple automations using AI to RAG and MCP frameworks that are more complex, that can actually have an input in your processes. From our perspective, we're a marketplace. Rightmove, Zillow, for the students that are here, will be familiar with the UK-based platforms. In Portugal, it's Idealista, it's Imovirtual. These companies traditionally have huge budgets. We're talking 15 million euros a year to spend on SEO, to spend on advertising. So challenger portals like ourselves find it almost impossible to enter these markets because the spend that's required to execute is huge. Call it luck, call it faith, I don't know, but we've managed to fall into the bounce of the ball where AI has democratized this space, and the ability to build programmatic SEO flows where you can actually react in real time to SEMrush SEO data allows you to be the challenger with a 1 million budget versus a 15, 18 million budget. So it's democratized the whole space for us, and it's allowed us to be more personalized, more localized, and more engaged with the consumers.
Great. And Doris, when you decided to go on this direction with your business, was because you spotted an opportunity that could be solved somehow better using blockchain/AI or whatever, or it was the other way around, like I want to find a use to this and then start finding things that weren't being done yet that could be done on a more efficient or better way or whatever reason with AI? What was the process?
Yeah, I think, in contrast to my other speakers, we are a more low-level protocol. So let's say that I will be selling to you, for example, on how you could implement our protocol to enable businesses to automate, for example, financial institutions to actually, use blockchain in a more automated rate, right? So right now, because I see AI agents as a new class of customer segment, and because they're a new class of customer segment, you're gonna need new tools. If you wanna bridge that specifically with blockchain, you need a new set of tools in order to do that automation on chain. On chain means that you're doing it on blockchain. So the need was very clear, specifically because when you do transactions in the blockchain, there's a lot of security concerns that you need to consider in order to have a third party making transactions on your behalf. And this is why our company actually was born. It's like we had the problem that we want to automate transactions and we're delegating our permissions to a third party, which is not secure. And it's a very complex problem. There's a lot of cryptography and other components involved. And this is basically how our company was born, trying to make secure interactions using blockchain technology and how you can automate those transactions. And this is where the AI comes into play.
That's super interesting because I think security, broadly speaking, is always something that is related to discussions around AI. Is this safe? ChatGPT says, be careful with private information and stuff like that. I think we'll all read it somewhere, somehow. And now you're saying that you decided to go in this direction because it would make transactions, for example, in a more secure way. So it's more secure, less secure, secure agnostic. What's the answer?
I think we need to make the distinction that Web3 blockchain, it's a category in its own. It's a very different system that hopefully one day it's able to be democratized and you'll be able to be using blockchain without actually knowing that you're using blockchain. In any case, still in the early cases. So blockchain is a fault intolerant ecosystem. That means that if you make a mistake, you lose your money, right? Because you have complete custody of your assets. And in this case, when we mean secure, this has nothing to do on how you're interacting with the AI, but more on like how you're interacting with blockchain, right? Because think about it as functor as the bridge between AI and blockchain. And if an end user is using ChatGPT, whether that's safe or not, it's a completely interaction than how it's interacting with the blockchain. Answering your question of our how protocol is secure, it's secure because we create policies around what the agent can do on your behalf without doing what they want. And I think that's very important when you are using blockchain, right? So our use case is blockchain specific. But in any case, for example, if you want to use like stable coins, or if you had like Revolut and you have any kind of crypto and you want to say like, hey, I want you to buy this specific token and this specific amount, then you can actually do it through our systems. So in terms of answering your question on security for AI, I think that there are other companies that we've seen so far that are trying to say like, how can the AI system not have my data? And I think data is one of the biggest pain points and challenges in AI in general, right? Which means, are you using my information to train your model? And I mean, that's something like beyond the purview of like the problems that we solve specifically. The problem that we actually optimize for is automation, right? For blockchain. So it's a different purview, I'll say. But in general, I think that's it's a very important topic to discuss.
Yeah, thank you, John. Using you, I think if I well understood, using blockchain to make more secure transactions. So I am the real owner of my house, or I am the real seller of this house. But then you use AI and just following on what Doris just shared. Do you think AI is relevant or irrelevant, or in some way has any type of impact on security because you're already using blockchain? Is there any connection?
Yeah.
Just a faster way of using it, or does it have any sort of impact?
Interesting. So I won't bore you with the deep details on how we use blockchain, but in a nutshell, we use it in three different ways. Real estate has a bad reputation globally. Okay, professionals are not trusted, data is not trusted, um, transactions are not trusted. So there's a trust issue in the space. So what we try and do is use blockchain under the hood. So Doris very rightly mentioned the fact that the next stage of iteration in the blockchain space is about abstracting the blockchain technology from the process and actually giving the consumer a seamless end-to-end process without ever knowing they're using blockchain. So for us, that's very much our approach. We focus on trust and transparency. When you make an offer on a home and your offer is rejected, we have a blockchain registry of all previous offers on that home and we make it available to the consumer. So we're giving them the ability to counter offer, negotiate in a better way. For agents, we build their reputation on chain. So when they engage with the platform and give us verified data, which is fuel or gold to us as a platform, we give them rewards. And those rewards allow them to access more benefits and features on the platform. And then finally, we register assets as unique tokens, which allows us to be future proofed for end to end transactions with the digital land registry. Not possible in Portugal, but possible in Dubai, possible in London. So we're looking at the future of the space and how we can use blockchain in an abstracted way to give a better output for the consumer. When you come to data privacy, we had data privacy concerns when the internet was born, when it went from Web 1 to Web 2, when we could read and write on the internet. So it's a natural progression as our natural transition. When we progress in technology, we have new concerns that weren't there before. There's 100% a need for awareness around data privacy. And I actually think what Doris is doing and what our team is doing is really interesting, because data provenance and understanding where data comes from is a huge part of our future technologically. If we can understand and cut out the fake news aspect of society by being able to understand the source of data, how many hands it's been through, and how it's been distorted on the way, then we've got an ability to actually create a better digital world. So I think they're the perfect marriage in the future of a transparent digital world for all of us.
Okay, thank you, John. An alert to the audience: start your engines, because the Q&A moment is about to start. And look, you're dealing with companies that are implementing AI to improve their business in some ways. Do they talk about security, about safety, about compliance, about GDPR, about whatever? Are they concerned, or they discover that problem that can be a problem later? And by the way, is it a problem or not?
So obviously, like, depends on the size of the company, right? So if you're dealing with like larger companies, they already have their chief information officer. They've got different things. You get the fun and games of doing wonderful data protection impact assessments and data flow diagrams and all that stuff. So believe me, yes, they do very much care about all that stuff and they want to understand those things. But then if you're using things like, hosting on Azure and you've got frameworks and you're explaining things and all that kind of stuff, you can overcome those. So it's no different to other technologies, because like different technologies have happened, these things are important, but it just gets more complex when you've got the ability to have additional actions, which is why we kind of don't do that right now, basically, right? Like you'll just do one discrete object and do it in that kind of way. Smaller companies, they tend to be more entrepreneurial and more focused on what's the benefit they can get. They obviously still need to have their policy and everything like this. One of the most important things is actually articulating a very clear AI policy for your employees, because what we find a lot is that if the owner or the leadership have not clearly articulated how this is going to help everyone in their job, you just get a lot of sabotage, like, because then people don't want things to happen. But yeah, people care about these things.
Okay, and personally, I think the problem is not AI; it's who's feeding the beast, as in who's controlling the data sets. Um, is this relevant for you in your businesses, or is just my crazy opinion about this?
Can you be a bit?
The thing is, if I have biased information, I'm going to use by AI, I'll get biased results. And I think
I
because
understand.
people said AI, or a couple of years ago, machine learning was the new engine and data was the new oil. Now it's AI everything. The thing is, people are trying to get data to use, and third-party data is super important and super relevant, blah, 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 blah. But we're also providing data to AI.
So that makes sense. So there's a few things to think about there. So there's the data which is unique to you. So for example, I had a conversation today with a company and they've got like unique data on their customers. Then the second thing is they want to be able to like identify certain attributes from them, maybe even have conversations with them and get more insights and things like that from there. But then to answer the question about like bias or different things like this, the AI is guided in a particular role, function, what it can do, what it can't do, like policies, like you say. So it's not just left to make decisions by itself. Like it's tuned and focused, basically, right? So the way I would kind of say it is like this bias thing, depending on all the use cases I'm looking at, right? And I've seen, it's very easily overcome because you just be very clear about what you're trying to do, what you're not trying to do, and then having, visibility steps within there. So I don't really see that in the kind of use cases I do.
Sorry for interrupting, but let's be honest. Google and the algorithm has been biased for
That's
decades.
different. Yes.
I mean, no, but it's the same principle in a different vein, right? We're dealing with AI where we're giving a little free rein to these agents, but essentially we've been dealing with bias for a long time, right? It's interesting. One of our board members is head of innovation for a large insurance firm in Europe. They're a global insurance firm. They're very well recognized, and they saved $250 million in a 3-month pilot using blockchain and AI in the last quarter of last year, because they were able to create a framework that was able to assess claims in a completely different way and abstract data that has value in that settlement process that allowed them to cut all the fluff. The wastage that was there is gone. So large corporations are quietly using these processes today.
Okay, awesome. Someone from the audience wants to put a question, and if so, I ask to raise the voice so everyone can hear. I see someone there.
Sorry, you're asking. Yeah, so it was a large insurance firm, one of the top 5 that you'd recognize in the market. And they created a protocol or a process using blockchain and AI to manage claims.
Okay, more questions from the audience, please. Are you to share? Are you to learn? None so far? Okay. Another one?
Every day as founders of the company, thinking how can we share this power to find new people find a way, right? Not only by saying everyone should use there's a free version for everyone, you just go into that and so on. So can you guys give us some like cool use cases that can be maybe horizontal for departments, maybe
Yeah.
on the user on the employee level, right?
So one of the big things is like just because people use AI doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing, right? AI is just like spell check. Everyone has a spell check, right? But doesn't mean that people write very intelligent or very engaging articles or paragraphs, right? It's how you use it. So one thing I did was for the team in the company, I put like a guide on how to use it basically. And essentially the whole point is it's around what I call a structured output basically. And the question is, what does good look like? Like before you use something, you have to know what good looks like, right? That's why we've all been educated. That's why we read. That's why we study things. Because, for example, if you don't know what a good output looks like, it'll be quite poor. I'll give a very, very example. I was reviewing some emails done by somebody and I was looking at them very carefully and like, yes, it's very nice with different details, but there were some things that didn't make logical sense with it. I was like, has someone actually reviewed this, for example, right? Like, so the thing is, just abdicating and saying use AI is pointless. You have to say how to use it properly. So structured output is basically defining what does the output need to look like, what kind of the parameters of it, what are the wording, what is the glossary, what is all the kind of stuff. So I put all of that stuff in it, and I've spent quite a lot of time putting together some very detailed documents about all the different elements of our business, which they can use as a foundation when they're creating their own GPT or their own, Claude that they're going to use to kind of do that thing within it. So I think you've got to give them some training on like how to direct and use the tool, and they've also got to understand they've got to have a critical eye about what they review the output of. You can't just abdicate it to AI, and you've got to give some source materials to kind of do it with that. So that's just my experience basically.
I think as well it's very important to have experimental mindset as well. In terms of like, I think two things, right? Is one, as you mentioned, what's the output? What's the not use AI for the sake of using AI? I think it's like, what is the expected output? Is there someone in the company that's going to be in charge of that? If there's no one in charge of that, why is the case, right? Like, I mean, you're understaffed, which is completely understandable if you're like a very small startup. And then the question is, like, what do you want out of this? And remember that there's like learning curve as well. And I think as a founder, if you go from first principle, is like, are we making something that people want? And then I can automate everything else. So for me, the automation comes when you know what you want to automate. But first, you need to figure out what that is, and then start like searching for tools that can make your life easier.
We've taken a very different approach, and I
Bit
can
louder,
relate.
John.
Sorry, I can relate with. Sorry, my Irish accent's a little bit low here, so um, I can relate with what both founders have said here. But the approach we've taken collectively, we got the whole team together when AI started to skyrocket, and we said, right, how can we harness this together? And we decided to create a roadmap, a thesis, so our outlook. So the idea is we treat each employee as a product, and they're engaged in this process. So they create their own personal roadmap. What do they want to do professionally within their role? And then we reverse engineer that process. AI can do everything, but it can't do everything well. So how can we strip back their goals, their targets, their ambition, and break it down into compartmentalized automations that have an impact?
Because it was like AI per request. You would find best ways to help any every member of the staff using AI.
Yeah, it's more like I'm an agony uncle and I listen to all the problems and then we figure out which are the lowest hanging fruit and which bring the biggest impact.
And that's interesting. Oh, look, and based on your experience, do the companies have a similar approach? Like, I would like to see if I can use AI for sales or for marketing or for supply chain management or whatever, or is it like just bring AI in and let's see how?
No, so then I think like any kind of organized company needs to be have more structured about how it allocate resources and times and projects, so they can't do everything. So what we tend to like see is that they'll form a working group and we'll recommend that, and then we recommend that like absolutely have an experimental mindset. You might go after say like discover like what would be like 10 different project opportunities based around driving revenue, increasing capacity, or something that you weren't doing before. And then the question is figuring out what is the potential outcome of that, like if what would a win look like and how much impactful would it be. Then the team as the kind of working group, as they can make their own decisions around prioritizing, we should do this first or we should try these four things, and then based on whichever one will work we can kind of go from there basically. But you have to have a joined up conversation. We do a lot of stuff where we do what we call as a boardroom briefing, where we'll work with like the leadership of a company to like help them all understand specifically what AI can do in their sector and what the impacts are going to be, and then they can at least have a common understanding. Because often you have one or two people that are very bullish on it, and other people that are like not. So
Sure. Okay. The campfire the fire actually is growing, and we're about to bring you all to the stage. So before opening this campfire to everyone that is sitting around the fire with me today, one final tip to everyone who's listening, and let's start by you, John. One final tip to someone that is considering using AI on a deeper way or better way.
There are so many free resources out there. Surround yourself with people that value the same thing. Sorry, there are so many free resources out there. Surround yourself with people that value the same things that you do. And everything is impossible until it's done. That's all I would say.
Okay. And Doris.
For me, my advice would be for early stage founders or anyone that is considering to have ideas. I think there's not a better time to do prototypings of things that could work. So creating MVPs and various like small experiments that I was mentioning before, I think it's fantastic time to use AI for that. And there are a lot of tools to create prototypes. It's literally prompt based. Like before, we had to do actually a code. Like we had to do React, like Node, just to do a prototype of showcasing how an idea might be. And now you have a tool that you can create a prompt in probably like an hour and have like a fully functional demo. And I think that is very powerful for early stage founders to validate ideas through very fast prototypes. So my takeaway is, again, experiment as much as you can. I think, as you're mentioning, there's so many resources out there, but specifically for tech focused founders, I think there's not a better time to validate your ideas through this experiment and use AI as a tool to get faster to what you're trying to solve. And I think you're in the best time ever. Yeah.
Thank you, Doris. Oh, look.
I'll give a different one. Like, so I use it a lot personally, and I find some very interesting things from it. So because I do a lot of my work using AI, like for example, like GPT, and then at the same time, we'll also run through like personal goals or different things I'm trying to work on or different challenges and different stuff like this. And I often use the voice dictation function to like streamline, communication summaries. what I do now is I then asked it to like analyze my thinking pattern, my tendencies, different stuff that might be my blind spots, and give me recommendations of where this might be limiting beliefs or this might be things that I should look at in a different perspective. And it gave me this structured review, which is very good. So then once a week, I'll just say like, take me through this, and it gives me surfaces different blind spots, and you can act as a objective thinking partner that can have exactly what I don't have. So that can be quite useful.
Amazing. Great tips. So the campfire is open. I'm going to ask John to switch his place, and I'm going to invite I'm going to invite one person first. And from this moment on, I want to see volunteers. So I'm going to ask the nice lady on the front row here, just behind me. Can you please come here and join us and tell us who are you, and how are you using AI? By the way, I know Ines, so Ines, welcome.
Hello.
So
Okay, I'm Ines. I'm an engineering student. And I use AI mostly for university projects, which is kind of obvious. And I think AI is very helpful and is a very efficient tool. But at the same time, I'm also concerned. So if I use AI a lot, will I lose critical thinking capabilities? Will I lose my creativity? Will I lose my writing skills? I don't know. That concerns me. But at the same time, it's a tool that is very useful. And something that I also think about AI is using AI is a skill. And in the future, I think it will be the best skill to have. It won't just be the technical skills and the soft skills that matter. It will also be how do you use AI? Because not everyone can use AI. You need to ask the right questions. I don't know. I think it's more like this. What are your opinions?
thanks for sharing. By the way, what do you think, Doris?
I agree with you. I agree on your point of using critical thinking still. I see AI as a tool to enhance what we're already trying to communicate. And to your point, right? Before you didn't have like this sparring, partner that you can challenge at something, which usually AI is very nice to you anyways. So I think that's like any funny. But the fact that you're able to analyze all your input that you have with AI, given that you're interacting with it so much, then you can have like this analysis. That's a plus. But then using AI to write your essay instead of writing it yourself, one, I don't know how it's university these days, so they check plagiarism and whatnot, but let's assume they don't. I think you're not giving yourself a gift on
No, I was not talking about myself like in general with the
agnostic
test cards.
to
But yes,
agnostic to whether no, I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just saying like you as a person, if you I don't know how the university it is now with plagiarism and if you use AI or they're able to detect it or not, but assuming they don't, I think that critical thinking it's still very valuable because you're gonna be negotiating, and when you negotiate you don't have the AI with you, even though you can have it with your lenses, but still it's not going to be able to think for you. And I think critical thinking, creativity, is something that you should be enhancing with. And I agree with you on your second point, which is prompt engineering. I think we've heard about that a lot, is knowing how to talk to the AI so you can get the right output out of it, so you maximize how you use it. So on your both points, I agree on, using your brain for what it was done for. And the other one is knowing how to talk to the AI so you can get the best output in the best way possible. I think Google just launched probably like a month or two ago, like a prompt engineering script. So it takes you on how the AI thinks and how to actually talk to the AI. It's a 40 pages long prompt page, and you can actually know how to interact with the AI better.
Awesome. Good news. Post event, we're gonna have the networking moment with Peas and Beer, where this nice lady and gentleman will still be around to have a more direct conversation, because it's impossible to give, in full detail answers to all questions. I'm gonna ask a volunteer from the attendance to join us and do the same. There's just Dennis, please stay. If no one volunteers, I'm gonna choose one. So it's up to you to volunteer. I need a volunteer for row number 2. Come on, help me, guys. Someone from row number 2 can come here and share. How do you use AI? Okay, we have a volunteer. Come on.
I'll be rotating.
Okay, thank you, Doris.
Absolutely.
And I think probably it was my mistake. I forgot to clap. Okay, so let's clap. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Doris. It's my mistake. So tell us who you are, and I know the gentleman also, by the way, just by chance. And how do you use AI?
So hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Sujal Narang, and I use AI in like just like as she said, like in so like projects, college projects and assignments. Like it helps us to like think outside of the box as well. And like I just also wanted to ask one thing. Like you are the experts here of AI. That we are in like my father has a family business, so like we are in consumer electronics in last 20 years.
You have the right person right behind, right beneath, just next to you. Sorry. So
So
please.
I just wanted to ask like how can we like I'll be joining the family business like after completing my masters. So how can I integrate AI into my business?
Tell me more about the business.
Sure. We have a brand called Toretto. Like it's a Indian brand, like made in India. Like some of the products are like exported from China. Like 70% is from India. So like we deal in like we have our own products in car accessories, mobile accessories, audio
Is it
speakers,
B2B or B2C?
B2C.
Okay, so B2C.
Bit louder.
So okay, so it's B2C and it's
Mhm.
electronics like car accessories, mobile phones, different
Mobile accessories
mobile accessories,
and
right?
audio tech.
On audio tech. Okay, cool. And what's the main channels you sell through?
Like distributor channel
Okay,
and online.
so B2B then. So like you're selling to distributors who then sell to consumers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so B2B and then but you also sell directly online as well.
Yes.
Okay. So then of the different products you sell, like what's a typical customer for you on the B2C side? Like do they tend to be car specific or they buy also mobile phone things or the or is it or they tend to be like coming for specific things? I'm trying to
Mm,
understand if they buy multiple products from you basically.
like we are trying to create a ecosystem
Okay.
we provide like in mobile accessories
Okay,
like
we'll start there. So let's start there.
yeah.
So basically you've got different products and solutions. They all fit complementary areas, but you're trying to create a kind of coherent customer journey. You want someone to like buy one thing, then buy several things from
Yes.
you, isn't it? So a very simple way to use AI would be to actually understand more about your customer. So for example, if they bought any of your products or anything like this, you could have some kind of QR code or some kind of sticker or what, or even an email saying that like we as at our company we offer different products or we have different solutions specific for you and we would like to offer you something or some saving or something. Then they would have a conversation with an AI, for example, could be a voice agent, for example, asking them, tell me about your car, tell me about other electronics you've got, tell me about your mobile phones or whatever it is. And then what you're trying to map out is like all the different points where you could add value and at the same time what some of their pain points are, right? Like have they been frustrated with things that are broken in the past or whatever it is basically, right? From that information you could then potentially then target with better communication to them. For example, let's just say they're interested in certain types of high-end stereo for audio or for their car or whatever like this. You could then the emails when you got like paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, they could be like say like around car audio in for paragraph 1, and let's just say they also got like an iPhone or something like this, and they've got like let's say video creation is part of their thing and they buy the light accessories and I'm making it up, for example, right? Like you can then so almost like type out what the kind of customers journeys are going to be and then personalize the communication more to that. That's one example. You can apply the same principle to distributors. So a distributor might be buying car, so let's say mobile phone from you already, but they're not buying the car accessories from you, isn't it? So then you could have an agent which is then researching that distributor, looking what else they're also selling, and you do almost a gap analysis, which is like you've got your product inventory and you've got what they're currently selling, and then you could almost map and say, hey, we also offer these 4 other things, and if you buy these things from us, we could also do something there. So trying to target lifetime value and average ticket transaction would be quite quick ways. Then on top of that, you can offer extended customer support for people where they could call, get information, which basically all the manuals, you just load them into the system. So if someone's got a problem with it, rather than like searching which page and is it in German or whatever it is, they could talk to that in that kind of way. So these are some kind of ways, but what you're trying to do is like engage that customer, make it stickier. You could obviously be multilingual with that, and at the same time try and trigger that next transaction, if that makes sense.
Awesome. And this is just the beginning of not a free consultation.
No.
You can stay here for hours if we could. I'm sure you
Thank you
would
so
happy to
much.
do that. So another volunteer, please. Okay, we have here one, please. So, Alok, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's keep rolling and let's keep rotating. This way, so thank you. Don't go away, please, Alok. You're mostly meeting. So, welcome, and please tell us who you are and how do you use AI?
Hi, everybody. My name is Anton Schneerson. I was born in Ukraine. And I would like just to say a very interesting use case that we used in a German industrial company that had, like many German companies, horrible problem with documentation. And it still exists in Germany. They keep documentation in a paper, and we had a separate house, a building, an industrial company dedicated for paperwork. There were 300 tons of paperwork for industrial companies like BP, Shell, the customer, Saudi Aramco, where one equipment holds around 15-20 kilogram of paperwork. So our lead time was incredibly long. It was sometimes months because the person had to identify the box, had to identify the documents of the equipment from 1970s. German quality lasts for decades, and that's true. And what we did, we hired a Ukrainian company who, using Amazon database algorithms, feeded the paperwork, which was handwritten in 75% cases, because as Germany 60s, 70s, you know, the real engineers. And what we received is, after 2 years of scanning and feeding and mistakes, 95% accuracy of obviously reading the information. And what's most importantly, we managed after a year later to feed this information into the new procurement system, an ERP system that online was giving us all the sourcing and suppliers around the world, which obviously hard because from 1970s suppliers change. So after 3 years, it's a very rare case because in Germany AI is very slow. But we merely succeeded. We had to check the outcomes. The engineers had to check, but we shortened the lead time from 3 months to 3 days
Awesome. Okay.
of the work engineering preparation.
Any questions for Anton?
No.
I have one. I have one. And why did you decide to do that? Because it was too much work, or just because there is the opportunity to try to do something different?
The main problem was that aftermarket in industrial space brings the biggest profits, and the slow German OEM manufacturers were losing the aftermarket business, where the Mexican, Chinese, whatever, from India, other emerging market sourcing places were much quicker. So they could do things in their garages within a month, where the Germans were taking several months. So nobody wanted to wait, nobody wanted to overpay. So we at least solved the topic of waiting, you know, and that was the critical thing. Aftermarket generates the biggest margins.
Okay, so it's a change that was driven by the pressure from the markets.
It's a service-driven, customer-oriented improvement to be quicker.
Awesome, great sharing. Okay, I need another volunteer to come here and share how he's using AI. Now you're gonna stay, so it's in his turn to rotate. Come on, I see. Do I see a volunteer? I see a volunteer. I don't see anything because I have a lamp in my face. Help me, Lucy, Luis. We need volunteers. Who's gonna share with us how he's using AI? You coming, Luis? Okay, thank you. Welcome, Luis. Thank you, Inish.
Hello. Hello, Pedro.
Hello, Luis.
Hello, friends from AI. Hello, audience.
Who are you and how are you using AI?
I have a question. I'm using AI or AI using me?
I don't know. Give me your answer.
I think AI using me
Yeah.
because I'm putting a lot of prompts and a lot of information about what I have in my brain. It takes me 15 years of education, as a guest said. So I'm putting all of that, hoping and praying, a word we don't use in digital, for something happen. And I use it a lot. Yeah, sure.
And which are the best or most common use cases that are being used by AI?
Because I'm putting information over there, I don't know where it goes.
Sure, of course.
Somebody collect it.
the author of Homo Sapiens and Homo Deus. I think some of you have already read the books. Made an interesting keynote speak a few years ago, and he said something that in that year, for the first time ever, more times were reading humans than human reading book. More books were reading humans than humans were reading books. Okay, because of technology. So technology was, taking notes about how many pages you have had read and read, and how long it takes to flip one page to the other. And so he was marking that year as the year of the change, where books were reading more humans than the other way around. So how are you using, for which goals, for your personal life, business life? How are you using this?
No, not personal. Never make a personal question about. No, I never use it. For personal, I use it the first version of ChatGPT, I think so. It says speak with God. When you remember that?
Yeah.
I'll speak with, and you make silly questions, you got silly answers.
They were training the thing.
It was the first, isn't it?
Yes,
I remember that.
I think it is.
But I don't use for personal. But for work, I use it all day. And I notice I'm working much more than I suppose. Because instead of taking my schedules and tasks, it takes me more time to improve my prompts. So it takes more time to choose my expertise or skills, or what they give me on results. So I said, give me the next logo for this company based on this company, and it gives me a lot of information. So the last time I give a client, I give them 300 logos. So I have to choose between 300. And
Can't you put AI choosing them for you?
she's creating for me a lot of information now. So recently I'm using a wonderful software. I'm not going to spam here because I'm not sponsored by the guys, but I use it, and they are using all of them on that same platform. So we got credits for experience in video and image. So we give him a lot of wonderful thing. So I'm trying to explore all of it.
Okay.
I think we're still in the beginning of it, having fun. Trying to go to. We have been talking about the agents.
Yes.
The agents,
Sure.
trying to get my employees with different nationalities, and I think what is going to happen is like my robot going to speak to your robot, my company going to sell to your company without I knowing. My marketing department is going to be digital, is going to improve my campaign for you, and you're going to buy me. I don't know my customer. So I think we're going to stop in a year. We're going to stop and reflect and do something different.
Yes, which gave me the perfect segue to share something. I had this conversation some time ago with someone, and be careful not creating the perfect persona, because most likely sooner or later the real persona is going to meet the other real persona, and if it's not that real, the results can be the result can be a disaster, because I'm interacting with someone that doesn't exist. It's just a machine enhancing me, and always ensure that use the machine to enhance you, but keep being yourself. That's a personal opinion, of course.
Do you think is our alter ego?
No, I think it's from my personal opinion, AI is a great tool to help me reduce tasks I dislike doing, or enhance the result of things I need to do. But it's an helper. It's a tool. It's not the goal. It's just a tool. And like all tools, when it's not used, it has no use. For example, I have a car. My car is parked. What is the car doing for me at this moment? Absolutely nothing. Okay. And the same thing with AI. There's zillions of opportunities to use AI. Unless I use them, it's not providing any type of support to me. The thing is, I need to understand, why do I need to use, and which ones should I try. And it's an experiment, and it's evolving so fast that it's
Let
the
me
perfect.
put
Yes, please.
a point here. What I've studying and listened, the word is like not rocket science. Have you heard about it? Rocket science. AI could be calculating that rocket science for you in seconds, and I could not do that. I think we still not prepared for what AI is going to give us. Like we have been prepared when radio comes, or television, or mobiles,
Or internet.
or live camera. What once we must understand is America is creating, Europe is regulation. We never speak on the dark side of what
China
could be.
copies. And China copies.
and China copies. And they use it.
And evolves.
Yeah, that's
And they create it.
And evolves.
And they put it cheaper.
And faster.
What's wonderful. And they put it cheaper for everybody to use. So the security part, kind of the material. But I have listened, a lot of people going to say that it's really not a tool. It's a intelligence artificial. So it's more clever than us, and it's going to be very wonderful. So like of what we are doing here, we still keep a human part on decision, selling, buying, and engaging.
Sure.
And using AI in the middle, like calculators.
What he means actually is that in a couple of years, your car, your Tesla, whatever, when you parked, it will actually know when you have a few hours off. It will drive some people and make you some money.
Sure, and for example, that's interesting. People tend to be worried about a few things, but we are already dependent on a lot of things that are fully technological. For example, I use Waze, and this I have no shares at Waze. Okay, I use Waze, so Waze drives me to where I need to go. So I totally depend on Waze to move me while I'm driving, and I allow that machine to make critical decisions for me, like going to a meeting that I cannot be late, or going to a medical appointment that I cannot fail. And the only thing that actually is ensuring on my brain that I'll meet that is is a piece of software. So actually already outsourcing parts of the things of the decisions we used to do to technology, and this is just another step. I'm not measuring the size of the step. It's not my it's even not my role in here today. Just trying to chip in.
Yeah, he gives you the recipe but doesn't cook for you yet.
Great topics to have. Well, a pizza and beer conversation. Let's bring someone more.
Yeah, sure.
Another one. We still have a few minutes.
Who's going to be the next? Anybody come from the audience?
And it rotates from the middle. Come on, another volunteer. Nice lady, please. Okay, there is someone in the front. You know the routine. Just give us your name, introduce yourself, and tell us how you're using AI.
Oh, that's fine.
So kind of you. You know?
That's okay. Don't worry about that.
Human behavior. No AI.
Just don't forget.
That's okay.
That's okay. Don't worry. Just don't forget to talk louder so people in the air can listen to you.
Hello, everyone.
No, it's not necessary.
Don't touch.
It captures the voice. Don't worry.
All right.
You can sit like that.
I'm just not comfortable with doing this.
Yeah,
I just want to do like that.
Now you should be.
Elevated.
We're going to ask ChatGPT to do it. No, it's broken. It's okay.
It's perfect. Just go.
Hello?
Don't worry about the mic.
I just hate when it's like loud. No, not loud.
Okay, what's your name?
My name is Alex.
Yeah.
Where I'm come from?
From Lisbon?
Yeah, I live in Lisbon.
Good.
So how are you using AI?
I can tell you from my personal use case from life. It happens that I always log a lot of data in my life. So things I want to improve is like health, finance, and and some other things in life. But most importantly, I'm about health and finance. So I also use Apple Notes heavily, and I use Trello. Trello I'm using as a system, like operating system, where I would log like daily journals, and then at the end of the week I would reflect.
Okay.
So it gives me a lot of data, and since I do it daily, I have a lot of context during the day. So I would set like goals, then reflect, and then at the end of the day of the week I would have a lot of like rich data, which I would not able to like recall.
But Trello got AI already inside?
Wait. So no. That's what I'm getting to. So I have this data, right? Now, how do I make sense of it? To reflect through all this data, it's humanly, like, it would take you 2 hours a week to just like make sense of this whole thing. So, and I also log a lot of like health data, including like workouts, including blood work, a lot of stuff. I'm into longevity. So I recall, like, I have certain goals of my biomarkers. I log them all. And at the end of the week, I'm like I'm giving access to my agents. Yeah, I'm giving access to this data, and I essentially ask, how did I perform this week, like health wise? How did I do financially? And it would give me like all the gaps or opportunities or ideas and sites how to improve.
And what is your decision?
What, like, usually it's like by the end of the week I would be like, is there any like setbacks that you experienced?
But you like the information it gives you?
Yeah, it's real valuable. I used to do it myself. Now I just delegate it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And it's unbiased.
Hmm?
And it's kind of unbiased
no, it's not biased.
assessment.
No, it's not biased. I configured it so
No,
not
it's,
to be biased.
it's unbiased.
Unbiased.
Yes.
It's actually not one agent and a mixture of agents.
Of course.
So they fact check each other.
So because sometimes we tend to, try to cheat ourselves, when we are self-assessing, and using the tool is very smart because the tool is.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you use it by default, like any LLM, it would be really biased. Like whatever you say, it would be like, yeah, you good, you're good. You just keep going. And this is not what you really want. You need like it to be as objective as possible. For that, you need to be very specific when you do system prompts. If you know what it is, maybe it's like it's essentially it's like an essentially before you prompt a chat GPT, you can give it like a context of, you are, I don't know, like an Elon Musk. You've built many companies, experience in this and that. You never you double check yourself on whatever you reply. So you kind of like shaping this personality for yourself, who you would talk to, like you said with the god, right? You can shape its agent to be whatever you want.
No, I'm more on the bot stuff, like creating my company employees with different identities, so they could reply me with a different way I never expect. Imagine, I want Guineans, 35, who like sporting, and comes to Lisboa and take trips in France, and he reads that kind of books, and I create that identity, and she gonna reply me like a marketing specialist with that kind of expert.
You can do this, yeah.
So I'm more on that stuff.
Yeah, it's really powerful.
Yeah.
I believe that's essentially the future. I'm also working on my like when it comes to business, I'm working on a master of agents kind of vision, which means every single part of the company would be automated.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them. But
And
now
the clients, what do you think about the clients? Because we're going to operate the company, we're going to be automated, but the clients, because the clients have access to automation also, they're going to reply.
Right now,
my brain is confusing, because imagine, I like white t-shirt, so I said to my bot, see that kind of platforms.
Yeah, it's
buy it for me. And the bot's
Yeah.
going to buy it for me.
At this point,
And you sell that kind of t-shirts and that one. So it's going to be bots by bots.
Eventually.
Full automation.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Is like, did you read the news about Google released?
No, just the new Pope.
Anyway, it's
By the way, we got a new Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's closer than you think.
Yeah, it's closer. Yeah, it's fun. I'm having fun.
You see.
I'm having fun.
Okay. Last brave volunteer, please. I would love to see a nice lady. We are always
some
care-
student from Stuart.
And,
That student
please,
from
to avoid the
Come
mic
on.
thing, I'm gonna ask Luis to switch because
you don't like me?
I love you, man.
Why-
I love you. Please, a nice lady.
Don't go.
Come on, a courageous, a brave one. I see one with a hat.
Yeah, I
just-
gotta
two.
pick. I gotta pick one.
Or the
Gotta pick
colleague
one.
next to her. Come on, please.
I know you.
I need. Let's go. Please switch, please, so we avoid the mix problems. Thank you so much. So tell us who you are. Thank you, Luis. Who you are and how are you using AI?
Hi, I'm B. I'm a master student from Base Business School.
Yay.
Um, I major in entrepreneurship right now, and it's my like a field trip in Lisbon for a week with Canopy.
Welcome.
I usually use AI for my, of course, my work, my schoolwork, and um the interesting thing is I use AI to check my star sign, like kind of like horoscope, something like that. I don't know it's reliable or not, but it's it's an interesting thing because I got this from TikTok. People on TikTok use it
Okay.
for the horoscope. Yeah. Have you guys ever use it? Just put your kind of like put your birthday, your date of birth, and like your star sign, and ask them to like generate the something like this for you.
That's just a new usage for AI. I've
Yeah.
never thought about it. And are you planning to expand the usage of AI, or is going to still stay for now? For now, going to stay with the existing usage that you're giving to AI.
What is the question again?
If in the future you plan to, for example, now you're finishing your masters, and best of luck, by the way, and in the future you're going to start your career
Oh
working.
yeah. So back in Thailand, I work in a tourism industry. I usually look over the uh customer like complaint or even a feedback. Uh as English is my second language, sometimes I don't know what word should I use to answer those complaint. I always use ChatGPT to like generate all the sentence for me and change my bad word into something soft. Yeah. Even I'm really angry, I will type like a bad word, but tell ChatGPT to like make it more polite. Yeah, that
That's very smart.
I maybe it's
I
not
think I think she's
useful for you guys.
no, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And is there any area where you would love to use AI that you still, for now, are not yet using it? So a lot of people in the room, maybe someone can share the best practice, something that
Um,
experiment.
I don't know if you guys use it or not, but me and my friend we use it to plan for a trip a
Hmm.
lot. Sometimes in my generation, people kind of like when I'm in Lisbon, I use Facebook group and I use TikTok to find a good restaurant or maybe like a tourist attraction. But on a lazy day, I will just like tell ChatGPT to use it to plan a trip for me. And I usually call a ChatGPT as my personal assistant. Every time I'm gonna say to my friend, let my personal assistant help us with this.
That's
Yeah.
that's very smart. Do you a wish? I wish I could use AI to solve this problem. Share with us. Let's see if someone has a solution. Anyone has a solution. A wish.
I wish I could use AI to solve people mental health for me.
All
Yeah.
right. Anyone from the audience or from the current panel wants to share a useful tip with me? Any type of solution, any type of tool, any type of best practice, a book to read, an article to read, a movie to see, a channel to follow on the specific use case that we just shared?
I would like just to say very short one thing that I've been learning recently. I would love to use ChatGPT and maybe some other platforms. I started learning instead of trying to find a problem or to analyze, which I use excessively a lot, sometimes copy pasting a lot of stuff. But I want to really learn that ChatGPT constantly tells me how to get better there, where to go from there. If I want to find this place, is there anything better? Or why do I need to get there if ChatGPT can understand what actually I want and to suggest a completely different alternative? Because this might be better. If you're about health longevity, maybe I don't need to, I don't know, go to fitness, but I play tennis and it will give me a better result for ABC longevity. So that's, I think, a use case that we need to learn ChatGPT how to get better, not to solve the problems. I wish I'm learning how to do that.
Okay, great. Alex, a wish
Wish.
using AI. Something that you would love to see solved using AI.
Whatever I wish is already happening. I don't know. Just I just want more people to actually try and experiment. That's it. And see what
Okay.
happens.
That's a perfect moment for me to close this discussion. We wish you all to have had a wonderful and useful afternoon. And hopefully, as Alex just said, we wish you all try more, learn more, and let's all improve and move from here. Thank you so much for patience. Now it starts the peas and beer moment. So a big round of applause, claps for everyone. Okay, thank you so much for being part of this. Stuart, up to you. Thank you.
Well done, everybody. The pizza's in the kitchen. Bring it through the fridge. Eat it at the front, drink it at the front. Stay as long as you like. Thank you. I know.
Let's peas and beer.
I'd be really interested to see what you do with all these amazing insights that people have shared today. I think it's some genius in there. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's more pizza for you over here.
Thank you. I mean,
Oh.
I had a dinner already.
So we get to share.
We had a dinner already.
That's it? That's it? So quick? Yeah. We don't have second part? No? We did set, we made this beautiful set. And that's it, just 1 hour.
Your conversation with Edward and after. It's and Anton has a quite interesting story. Just sharing with me. And awesome. You live in Lisbon, so I think I do. Something like that. That's much interesting.
Hi, Sean. This is my friend. She studied at Leeds. Actually, she has a question.